Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. This is pack up and leave day. So we have been so busy this morning. I'm a little bit late coming on, but this will be our last devotion from here. Yes. From here we go to we'll go to Hastings, Florida. 2 nights in a tent revival there. And then we'll travel on Saturday over to Riverdale, Georgia, and we'll be there for 3 days for a 25th anniversary celebration revival. We'll be there, and then we will travel home on Wednesday. So every day we're going to be, well, not every day in a different location, but we're going to be moving. We'll be, tomorrow morning we'll be near St. Augustine, Florida, and then and Friday morning and Saturday morning, and then Sunday morning we'll come to you from Riverdale, Georgia, and then by Wednesday morning, I don't know where we'll be, someplace on the side of the road probably. But today we're in Florida. Yeah. And so this will be our last devotion from here at the house. And my last chance to look at that gorgeous lake. And it is gorgeous this morning. And the sun is bright. Oh, so very bright. It's going to be a gorgeous day today. Let's see. It is 68 degrees. Going to be 88. Going to be a beautiful day. First cough of the morning, of course. As soon as I start talking to you, I start coughing. Yeah. Oh, well, whatever. But today's Thursday, and it is the first day of May. Yes, May 1. Amazing, right? It's also the National Day of Prayer today. Yes, yes, yes. And and also we're going into a new book, to the book of Hosea. So a lot of firsts, right? Last day in our house here in Florida. First day of May, National Day of Prayer, and a new book, all in the same day. Yeah. Good morning, Becky Engel. I woke up thinking about you this morning. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. I was thinking I was getting ready to send you a card and tell you how much I love you. So I'll tell you today on here, and that we've been praying for you every day, and then I'll still send you the card as soon as we get to St. Augustine and I get a little bit slowed down. Yeah. All right. You're coming on really quickly, so let me show you my cup. I've been drinking coffee. I got up at 6, so I guess since about 6:30, 6:45. Let all that you do be done in love. Look at those beautiful daisies. Let all that you do be done in love. Beautiful yellow on the inside. I love the inside being colored. I don't know why. Isn't that crazy? Okay. Good coffee. Let's go. You're on. Hosea chapter 1 I chose verse 1 because there is it's a short chapter. It is. Only 11 verses, but there's a lot packed in here. So I couldn't really see one verse that would take care of all of it. And because we're going into a new book, we'll just start with verse 1. Yes. I chose verse 1. The word of the Lord that came into Hosea, the son of Beeri, in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, the kings of Judah, and in the days of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, the king of Israel. All right? Let's see. Probably that's going to say pretty much the same. Let's see. This is the word of Adonai that came to Hosea, the son of Beeri, during the reigns of Uzziah. Oh, goodness. Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, and during the reign of Jeroboam, the son of Joash, king of Israel. Pretty much the same. Yes. Okay, now, the information at the top of my King James Study Bible the introduction. In our present age, fixed truths, moral absolutes, divine imperatives, sure hope, and life-transforming power often seem to be overshadowed by uncertainty, insecurity, subjectivism. Yet in the story of Hosea, we are confronted with the truth about God's persistent and unlikely love for an unfaithful people, the Israelites. Even as we marvel at the tragic and remarkable beauty of one prophet's unconditional love for his faithless wife that exemplifies the love story between God and humanity. The author is Hosea. Hosea's prophecy may have existed first simply in spoken form, then later it may have been gathered together in written form by disciples or scribes. Still, this work is traditionally attributed to Hosea, the son of Beeri. We don't know much about the prophet's life except for the little that we learn from chapters 1 and 3. And then the occasion when Hosea is called to serve as God's prophet, Israel is in a state of rebellion. Based on the king's reigning during his prophecy, we know that the nation of Israel has been split by civil war. It's talked about in 1 Kings chapter 12. And that Hosea is sent to the northern kingdom of Israel, which is characterized by corrupt kings, crime, and compromised morality. Now, here's the thing. We have gone through Daniel, Ezekiel, Jeremiah. We've gone through the whole Babylon captivity. But this is before that ever happened. So now, because these minor prophets are all put together at the end of the Old Testament, we're going back and kind of catching up. If we were doing a chronological, goodness. I'm hoping when I go north, allergies will be better. I don't really think that's going to happen, right? If we would have had a chronological Bible, Hosea would not have followed Daniel. But, so we're going to kind of deal with that to get started. Hosea's ministry took place in the 8th century. The northern kingdom of Israel was conquered by the Assyrians and taken into captivity about 722 BC. The southern kingdom of Judah, which Hosea did not directly address, was later conquered by the Babylonians. There's where we just came out of. And taken into captivity beginning in 597 BC, lasting until 538 BC. So Hosea was a prophet to Israel in the last days of freedom before the siege of Israel and the Babylonian captivity. So he's prophesying how adulterous they are before they're ever taken into captivity. They are into Babylon. They haven't been taken into Babylon yet. All right? So with verse 1, plainly said Hosea was a prophet. He spoke forth the word of the Lord and applied that word to his own life and to the people and circumstances around him. Hosea was a man, but he was a man of God, used to speak through, even though he was, he was a man. And he married and he had children. He actually married a prostitute at the Lord's bidding. He told him to take him a wife that was a prostitute. Her name was Gomer. And then he proceeds to have children. He's a man. And every time he had a child, the first one, call his name Jezreel. And yet for a little while, I will avenge the blood of Jezreel upon the house of Jehu. Then she has a second son. She has a daughter, and the daughter, call her name Loruhamah, because I will no more have mercy upon the house of Israel, but I will utterly take them away. Now we know that happens because we just came out of Daniel where they were taken into Babylon. Yes. And then after the daughter, she had another son, and his name was Lo-Ami. For you are not my people, and I will not be your God. But we know something about the Lord. As angry as he gets, and as much as he hates their idolatry, he always comes back. Because at the end of the chapter, verse 11, then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together and appoint themselves one hand, and they shall come up out of the land, for great shall be the land of Jezreel. Or let me go back to 10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sands of the sea, which cannot be measured nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, you are the sons of the living God. It's his mercy. He does it over and over again. Yes, 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 yes. All right. So, he was a man, but he was a man that God chose to speak through. Then that first verse says he was the son of Beeri. The name Hosea means salvation. It comes from the same Hebrew root word, Hoshea, as the names of Joshua and Jesus. Throughout the book, Hosea will show us that salvation is found in turning to the Lord and away from our sins. Beeri, his father's name, it tells us the name of Hosea's father was Beeri. Beeri means well, which is what a prophet is. A prophet is to be a well of living water, not just a one-time drink of water, but a continuous flowing fountain of water. The words of the Lord coming out of a prophet. I think that's very significant. So it tells us the name of his father is Beeri. We also know that he had a wife named Gomer, 2 sons, and a daughter. We just talked about that. Hosea's ministry spanned the years of 760 to 720 BC, during the days of the divided monarchy. This was after the days of David and Solomon, when the people of God divided in a civil war, creating 2 nations, Israel in the north, Judah in the south. This is some 250 years after the time of David. See what happens when the kingdom passes from a righteous king. Even though David had failures and he had faults, and we all agree with that, but he loved God. He just made mistakes. He made bad choices, but he loved God, and he was always quick to repent. But after David, these kings came that were just wicked, and as so goes the king, so goes the nation. And so they went into awful idolatry. So this is 250 years after David, and some 650 years after Israel came into the promised land. Hosea's ministry was in the northern kingdom of Israel. Now, Daniel and Jeremiah and Ezekiel, they all talk about Judah and Jerusalem. Hosea's in that northern kingdom. In the northern kingdom, we know this because in chapter 7 of Hosea, verse 5, he calls the king of Israel our king. And because his ministry is focused toward the northern kingdom of Israel and its capital city, Samaria. But for the benefit of his readers in the southern kingdom of Judah, Hosea gives them a reference point for the days of his ministry according to the kings of Judah. So he says this was the days of, even though he's in the northern kingdom, it's also in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, the kings of Judah, even though he was in the northern kingdom. Hosea began his ministry in the days of Jeroboam II. From a political and an economic standpoint, Jeroboam II was a successful and a good king. That's talked about in 2 Kings, the 14th chapter, verse 23 through 29. If you want to go read what was going on. 2 Kings chapter 14, verse 23 through 29. Israel prospered politically and materially under his reign. But it was a time of significant spiritual and moral decay. The terrible result of this decay wouldn't become evident until the days of Jeroboam II were finished. And so it doesn't matter that politically and materially we prosper. It matters that spiritually and morally we prosper. I think this is a mirrored image of our nation, because we're a great nation. We're a prosperous nation, but we have a tendency to turn our face away from the Lord. And so it doesn't matter how we prosper financially, economically, we need to prosper spiritually. Yes. Hosea began his ministry at a time when things were so politically successful and economically prosperous that now, does this not sound familiar? That people just didn't look to the Lord the way that they should. It was in a time that they were so politically successful and economically prosperous that they did not look to the Lord the way that they should. You know, when we've had great revivals, it's been after wars, after times of great trouble. Why? Because when we become economically prosperous and politically successful, we have a tendency to not lean upon the Lord. But then when a war comes and we're in trouble, we turn our eyes back to the Lord again. Have a national day of prayer. We'll call on the people to all pray together for our nation and for our leaders. But we don't do that when we prosper. It's just human nature. We forget that the reason we're prospering is because of the blessings of God on our life. And so this is what happened here. I think it's also what still happens today. Yeah. They were so economically prosperous that they just didn't look to the Lord the way that they should. The seeds of idolatry, spiritual failure, and moral corruption sown in the days of Jeroboam II produced a tragic harvest in the following years. If you sow seeds of idolatry and moral corruption, you're going to have a terrible harvest. Yes, you reap what you sow. Yes, yes, yes. Significantly, Jeroboam I was the first king of a divided Israel, leading a popular revolt against the high taxation of Rehoboam, the son of Solomon. And that's in 1 Kings chapter 12. Jeroboam II followed in the wicked footsteps of Jeroboam I. Yes. Matthew Henry said he prophesied a long time. He began when he was very young, which gave him strength. And he continued till he was very old, which gave him the advantage of experience and authority. It appears he did but little good among them, because the longer they enjoyed him, the less they regarded him. Familiarity. Yes. They despised his youth first, and then later, afterwards, his age. They didn't listen to him. And we know what happened. They end up going to Babylon. Why? Well, and he's in the northern kingdom, so they end up being destroyed by the Assyrians. Why? Because they don't heed anything that he tells them. Yeah. He passed through a variety of conditions. Some of these kings were very good and has likely encouraged him. Others were bad, who we may suppose frowned upon him and discouraged him. And yet, Hosea was still the same. Some encouraged him, some discouraged him. It didn't change him. He was still a man called by God to be a prophet, to speak to Israel. Matthew Henry said God's ministers must expect to pass through honor and dishonor, evil report and good report, and must resolve in both to hold fast their integrity and keep close to their work. That is a powerful statement. I'm going to read it again. God's ministers, and I'm going to go a little further. Matthew Henry says God's ministers, I say all of us, any of us, must expect to pass through honor and dishonor, evil report and good report, and must resolve in both to hold fast our integrity and keep close to your work of God, to that work of God that you're involved in. Yes. If they love you, if they hate you, if they speak evil, if they speak good, if they honor or dishonor, that doesn't change who you are. You are who you are by the grace of God. I've said this many times. One of the most beneficial, I have many beneficial things actually, but one of the most beneficial things that Brother Hall taught me down through the years was if you let their flattery build you up, then you have given them a power that one day they will speak evil of you and they'll be able to tear you down. But if you don't let their flattery make you think you're all that in a biscuit and build you up in your own thinking, then when they begin to speak evil, that won't move you. They weren't allowed to build you up, therefore they cannot tear you down. You are who you are by the grace of God. Yes. So you just remember that. We appreciate kind words, right? We appreciate people saying kind things. Absolutely, we do. But we never let it go to our head and think, man, I have arrived. I am the cat's meow. Oh, no. You always go back and remember where you got started. Because unless the Lord comes to us and touches our life and turns us around, we are nothing. It's all Him that made us to be who we are today. Yes. And so you don't get, when they say nice things and flatter you, you just say thank you and let it go. Because one day they may turn and say unkind things. And so then it won't have power over you. You didn't let them build you up. They will not be able to tear you down. We always look and remember who we are. Men and women saved by amazing grace. On a journey headed for a city that has foundation, whose builder and maker is God. Yes. So, what am I going to think about today while we finish loading the car and get on the road? I'm going to think about how much I love being called of God. Yes. That I appreciate. I gave Him not all of my youth, but about when I was 23. So I gave him much of my youth. I now am giving him my latter years. I was young, now I'm old. And so I appreciate the fact that all these years, 50 years now, he has allowed me to labor in his vineyard. And what a great joy that is, and an honor to be called of God. And to think about that, the beauty of the call today. Yes, as we head to revival in Hastings, Florida. Yeah, if you're anywhere near St. Augustine, there's a great, big, beautiful tent in Hastings. I'll put the address on Facebook as soon as the devotion's over. And we invite you to come out, and we'll be there tonight and tomorrow night. But it will be going on about another week, I think, after we're going to be there. And there'll be different ministers every night. It's already started. They've already had 4 services before we got there. And so I invite you to come be a part of that. Anywhere near that St. Augustine area. A little bit south of St. Augustine. All right. Close to Palatka, I think. All right. We love you. You know I do. Love having coffee with you. I love talking about Jesus with you. I'll see you in the morning from probably St. Augustine, about 8:30. All right. God bless.